This is basically how you gain this traction over your, I think, 1,500 subscribers just in a few months.
Now
right
we
now.
are 1,800 now. Yeah.
Wow.
In a
That's
7 months now.
Great. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Excuse My SaaS, the podcast brought to you by ProdCamp, the revenue-centric user feedback platform. I'm Matei, your host, and today we're diving into what it takes to grow a SaaS product from MVP to market traction. If you're looking to accelerate your product growth, streamline your go-to-market strategy, or just get to product market fit faster, you are in the right place. Our guest today is Toni Santos, a growth strategist with over 15 years of experience helping B2B SaaS companies achieve exactly that. He's working with more than 250 companies and has developed framework that can help founders go from zero to scalable growth fast. Today, we'll be talking about how he applies these strategies to grow his own ventures like Buska and the product Courier, and how you can use similar strategies to gain traction in your own SaaS journey. So stick around. If you're ready to turn your MVP into market success, we'll talk about that. All right, Toni, let's get into it. Did I miss anything in that intro?
No, that was great. Thanks a lot. I mean, I feel so flattered by that intro. It was great. I mean, I don't have anything else to add. But yeah, like you said, I've been working with B2B companies for over 15 years. I worked in the music industry. I've worked in the banking industry. I've worked at Lemlist. I've launched my own SaaS, Buska, as you said. And because I love AI, I started the product Courier, which is an AI community for product teams. And we're going to talk about that. And you said it. I developed a framework to help companies launch MVPs and products faster and achieve product market fit. Actually, I teach that framework also in incubators and do coachings with founders to help them do that in weeks, go to market and find clients instead of spending months developing something that nobody wants to buy afterwards. So.
Love it. Okay, Toni, let's go for it. But before I start firing more questions at you, can you tell us just a few words maybe about Buska on top of product Courier? Because you said product Courier is AI related, right? But maybe a few words about Buska.
Yeah, Buska, so it's a social listening tool made for lead generation. So basically, the idea is to track on social media every keyword related to your business, to your industry, to your niche, to your competitors, and find everyone that's talking about it online so that you can reach out to them more easily, because the idea is that those people talking about what you can do online are more relevant and more qualified to answer and to become clients of yours.
Right. Okay. Great. Thank you for this. Now, in your content and on LinkedIn, since this is where we met each other, you often talk about clarity as a key element for SaaS success. And with Buska, you went from ID to product hunt success quite a kind of quick. So can you tell us a word about how you did that to make sure the product had that clarity and focus from the start?
Yeah, sure. Well, the first thing about the product and how we managed to grow it so fast was also that it was a problem that we had ourselves with my co-founder, Tristan. He had his own venture, had worked as an entrepreneur in the past, and we had trouble to find what people were talking about or what people were saying about our companies online. So we thought there was something there for us to do. And we checked the market, and there were solutions, but made for enterprise. And so we decided to build our own, to answer our own needs at first and to answer the needs of SMBs. And so the clarity was because we knew the problem, because we had experienced it ourselves, and we knew the target audience, which was the SMBs, because we knew that the market was already crowded with enterprise. And I'll get back on that afterwards, but we ended up pivoting after some time. But the vision of the product and the clarity was from the start. And the vision has always been and still is monitor, understand, and engage. And that's the vision we have for the product. We did the monitor part. We are doing the understand part, and the engage part is something we're building over time. And that's the end goal that we have in the future for the product.
So clarity is probably just one part, right, of building traction. And you've shown that with both Buska and the product Courier. Once you had this level of clarity and this understanding of exactly the problem space, how did you get about identifying the right audience, building your content and outreach strategy around it? You mentioned enterprise was crowded, but aside from enterprise, the market is still big, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's a very good point. So the target audience was at first SMBs, startup companies under 50 employees, and we focused on marketing teams because of founders, because we thought that's important for a marketing team to understand what people are saying about your brand if you're building a brand. And so that was very clear for us, and that was the target audience at first. And after a few months, we realized that talking to marketers and people, when we spent like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour talking with them, they would understand the problem and they would be aware and buy the product. But they weren't aware before we talked to them, which was a big problem because not having funding, we couldn't afford to do big ad campaigns and big marketing campaigns. And it goes back to the notion of a pure problem to solve, which is something that's painful, urgent, and recognized. And I've seen this since with other companies and founders that I help, is that the recognized part is often the toughest one to have. And because we were addressing marketing teams, for them, it was more like Pierre Robel says, a vitamin instead of a painkiller. So what we did after a few months was just to, because I've worked in sales for so long and working at Lemlist also in the past, was to go talk to the guy next to the marketing team, which is the sales team. And for them, finding qualified leads that are aware of the problem that you want to solve online is a big issue, and it's painful, it's urgent, and it's recognized. So when we pivoted, we didn't change the product at all. We just changed and pivoted the positioning, and then it became very clear for our target audience, which was, again, sales teams in SMBs from 10 to 50 employees, with the teams that have like under 5 salespeople, and lead gen agencies. And those people were obviously very aware of the problem we were addressing for them. And then we gained a lot more traction than when we decided to do the pivot.
Interesting. So you said Buska is about tracking brand mention and turning that signal into business, right?
Yes.
Did I get that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So now you said you moved from marketing to sales. What was the main strategy you used to kind of bring those first users in and build that traction, either around marketing or sales? What's more relevant for you?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, basically, to me, everything nowadays, being social selling, being even finding a job as an employee or selling a product, everything is about sales nowadays. You have to sell yourself. And as many people like Alex Hormozi say, sales is a transference of belief over a bridge of trust. And so to believe, you have first believe in yourself. So that's the clarity part. I know what I want to sell. I know exactly what my product can do, what problem I can solve. And then I have to make people believe the same thing as me. So on the other end, and for that, I need to build trust. And how we build trust with that, and that's the 45 days strategy that we applied from the beginning, was to build a community. Since we didn't have any money, any network, any funding, it was only through direct outreach, one-to-one with every people that we could find. So obviously there was a very targeted approach, which was because we were launching on Product Hunt. The first part of the strategy was to target Product Hunt makers, people that were on Product Hunt, sales teams that used Product Hunt. And so it was to scrape lists of contacts over Product Hunt, over different tools, use the free trials on Lemlist, on Lagros Machine, on Apollo, etc., to get those contact information and then reach out to those people one-to-one, want to explain the problem that we had encountered and the solution that we had, and ask them for support. And that's how we built. And that's how in 45 days, we went from nothing to 700 people that supported us on Product Hunt.
Beautiful. So with those strategies in place, I believe the product Courier also picked up traction quickly, right? Mm-hmm. We were talking about Buska right now, but so I'm curious to talk about the way you kind of curated this value proposition. There's a lot of newsletter out there. How did you make the product Courier stand out?
Yeah. So with Lucas, who is the co-founder and is in product marketing, we were both very excited about AI, and we used AI a lot ourselves. And I realized, talking to founders and from my time at Lemlist and afterwards doing coachings and teachings, trainings with companies, that many product teams were fantasizing about AI but didn't know how to use it. And so instead of doing a generic newsletter about AI or about product per se, we decided again to focus, and that's why I apply with my framework, and that's how I developed it, is to focus on one specific use case or niche, which was AI for product teams, which at the time there were none, or at least very little newsletters about that. The value proposition was AI for product teams and only actionable use cases of AI for product teams, like how do you use AI in your day-to-day work? And the target audience were very specific, which was product leaders, product managers, and product marketers. And so we had a clear value proposition. We knew that it was like a blue ocean in that kind of niche. and we knew exactly the target audience that we wanted to reach. And then the strategy was exactly the same as Buska, which was find the list of as many product marketers, product managers interested in AI as possible, using intent signals, using Buska, using people that attended events related to AI, people that liked posts about AI on LinkedIn, etc., get their information and reach out one-on-one. And a differentiated approach that I had compared to other newsletters also was to insist on the community aspect of it, and not just this is a newsletter. We built a prompt library with prompts for product people, and we had a Slack community also built on that at the same time. And the idea was to invite people to join a community of product people interested in AI, and not just this is my newsletter, please subscribe. And so that I think it was a big differentiator and was the added value that we had compared to other newsletters. Because again, you're not selling the output, which is the newsletter, you're selling the outcome, which is join a community and learn about AI.
Love it. And so you were talking about it not so long time ago on LinkedIn. This is basically how you gain this traction over your, I think, 1,500 subscribers just in a few months.
Now we are 1,800 now. Yeah.
Wow.
In a 7 months.
Great.
Now, yeah.
So what you said now are the specific tactics you just use to attract and engage this initial audience, right?
Yeah, I'll detail. So another thing, obviously, we were talking about the transfer of belief over the bridge of trust. The trust part is also from the content. So we're posting, myself and Lucas, obviously almost daily, about AI for product on LinkedIn to show that we knew what we were talking about. I built like scripts, I built like apps with AI to show how you can use it. And then the tactics were that one, which was scraping all the data from triggers and signals that we could find on LinkedIn. Again, AI events, AI posts, big influencers that wrote about AI, and then filter to keep only the product managers in the list, the product leaders. It was to target very specific companies that were interested in AI, and also use the recommendation part of Substack, which is like a newsletter that recommends you. And for that, I used scraping tactics that we'll keep between us, because I know Substack, if they found out, they will change their system. But basically, I found a way to get the contact list of every newsletter creator on Substack. And so I targeted only product management newsletters, found every creator of those newsletters, made a campaign to reach out to them saying, okay, I saw your newsletter, I have one too, can we recommend each other? And doing that, we reached in like a month or two of the 1 month of the campaign, it was like 1,000 contacts. We went from no recommendations at all to 35 newsletters recommending us. And nowadays it accounts for 25% of our growth. I think like we get like, we have 150 or 200 plus new subscribers every month. And it's about 25-30% of them come from recommendations now.
All right. So major play in kind of co-marketing as well with other newsletter out there. Really impressive how quickly you build that following. That's really great. Coming back to Buska and the product market fit, you mentioned this transition from marketing to sales. It really seems actually that the solution could fit various scenario and use cases. What's your process to refine product market fit and maybe after and further down the road, and ICP as well? And how do you know when you're close to reaching it and you should be happy and now pause for a second? You know?
Yeah, well, that comes back to what we were saying. And again, that pivot is a good example of that, is to find the people in the audience for which the problem is the purest, painful, urgent, and recognized. And well, you can use the Sean Ellis test, which is you ask people, okay, this is the product, they test it. Now I take it away from you. If over 40% of the people say, my God, I can't live without it, you have something in your hands. So that's one way. So we do a lot of surveys. I reach out to new users every day to get some feedback. And obviously, as you know, the return rate is not that big because people don't have time to answer, but we get replies. And so that way we can understand where they have pains and where they thrive or not. But we have felt that shifting from marketing to sales made it obvious for the salespeople, because now salespeople come to us directly because they understand the value of the product. And again, posting on LinkedIn about it, working with La Grosse Machine, we have now native integrations with them, and we're working on a Clay also. It's so obvious for them the value that it brings, that it means that ICP is naturally there for us because we don't have to explain to those people what the product can do for them. And that's, to me, is when you know that you're on the way to finding the product market fit. Again, as you say, and to me, and Enzo said it too, and others say it, PMF is not a goal per se. It's a journey. You reach a product market fit at some point, but then because you're growing, because your audience is growing, because your clients are growing also with you, you will have to change, and will have to find, and you will have to refine and evolve over time. So to me, that's part, and knowing when you have to change is by getting feedback regularly. And as we said, you were talking about feedback loops. That's exactly it. Like having a feedback access on your website, reaching out to people manually, doing surveys, going online and see what people say about your product, etc., is the way to know if the product market fit is still there, or if there are signals that you need to change or evolve.
Right. We'll get back to the data part a bit later, and I have a question about that too. But I want to come back on the right after this moment where you can launch on Product Hunt. I think you are also product of the day or third product of the day.
Top 3
like
product of the day. Yeah.
Top 3, great. Yeah, and so how did you keep that momentum going after that initial launch with Buska?
Yeah. And that's something actually that then I've helped other companies to launch on products like Zelic or like Rose Machine in sales, who reached product of the day, product of the week, product of the month also, because applying the same framework. And what I tell everyone is that the launch day is just the beginning on Product Hunt, because once you launch, okay, you're going to get upvotes, but upvotes like likes on LinkedIn, they're not sales. So once you've done that, then especially in our case, because we reached top 3, but we didn't have any product at the time. We just had a landing page and a mini demo. There was no real product behind it. So we had to build the product very quickly. Also, we were building it, but it was not finished. And so the idea was to get all the contacts and the information of the people that voted for us, reach out to media to get it on podcasts, on articles about us, etc. And then we had 1 month, and we launched 1 month after the Product Hunt launch to keep nurturing the people, like sending emails, like asking them their opinion about what we should put in the product, sharing them, like offering discounts, etc., to the ones that would subscribe to the product, because we had a wait list of people, but obviously then you need to convert them. And so, the idea was that to keep showing what was coming. And then when we launched the product, we got lucky enough that within 2 days of launch, we got our first paying customer within 48 hours, which was pretty cool for us. And meaning that there was attraction at the time for the product itself. Yeah.
That's great. So reflecting on that launch again, we talk about everything you did well. Is there anything you would do maybe differently now, knowing that what you know and having also several other experience with Product Hunt?
Yeah, well, I would do the product even smaller than it was in terms of features and in terms of what we built in. Why? Because after the launch, instead of waiting a month to finish it and have it properly and launch it, I think if we'd launch it like a week later or 10 days later, very fast, even with a smaller version of what we have now, it would have been better in terms of conversion, because obviously 1 month is still a long time for people that support you on 1 day, but then you take 1 month later, they've forgotten about you. Yeah. So to me, that would be it, to have an MVP. And actually that's what I do now. And that's what I tell people to do now, is to really find the smallest version possible with the key feature that answers the needs of the clients. For example, it could have been like we launched a first version with only mentions on LinkedIn and Twitter. Instead of having 20 plus sources like we do have now, we would have launched a very smaller version and get people to pay for it right away.
You often, I think, going to try to balance or advocate on balancing outbound and inbound growth tactics. For the product Courier, what specific inbound? I think we talk a bit about the outbound, but not that much about the inbound tactic prove most effective. And then maybe how did you balance to, was it first maybe more outbound and then taking over by inbound, the opposite? How did it go?
Well, actually, the approach is like what many people call now all bound or outbound led, inbound, whatever you want to call it. But the idea was to, again, outbound was the first touch point with people because nobody knew us. So we had to go to our audience. The inbound part was, as I said, the articles themselves, because they were use cases. So we can, if we want tomorrow, we can repurpose every article into a lead magnet. So basically we do a PDF explaining, okay, this is how you can do market research with AI. This is a prompt. So what we did was build a prompt library, and that served as an asset, and that served as an inbound, like a lead magnet to attract people. So we used outbound to reach out to people. And again, that's the tactic many people use nowadays, is instead of telling them, please join the newsletter, please join the community, it was more like, we built a community, and within this community, we're offering prompts, we're offering you this, we're offering you access to 200 other people that are on Slack, etc. And that was the lead magnet. So that's the outbound to reach out to them, and the inbound was those assets
to
that
capture.
we had built. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great. Yeah, very interesting. Definitely something that is beginning to be really effective and more widespread right now, this kind of content outbound approach. For founders aiming to build like a growth engine for the SaaS, do you think that a mix of inbound and outbound strategies is always essential? We will recommend that always, or maybe depending on the ACV, on their market segment, you will see some differences. How do you see that?
Again, to me, it doesn't matter what you do. It's physical, it's software, it's B2B, it's B2C. It always comes down to sales. And like Ormozy said in his latest book, there are 4 ways. It's outbound, it's inbound, it's referrals, and it ads. So if you have the money, ads is a great way, obviously, to put your product in front of many people. Otherwise, yeah, to me as a founder, because outbound is the way you reach out to people, it's a good way also to test your value proposition, to see if the people you're targeting are the right ones or not. And the inbound part is, because nobody knows you, is what you're going to give them in return for their time, for their attention, for them to try your product. And so, yeah, inbound is essential. Again, inbound is also, and inbound, in inbound, I count the content that you post on LinkedIn or social media or website, blog, whatever, because that's the part that builds the trust. Because if you give people something of value, being a post, being an asset, being a lead magnet, that's the way for you to show them what you can bring to them. And if they see it, then they believe it or not. But if they believe it, they know and they can trust you, because you're not just there to shove something into their throat. You're bringing value first, and then in return, you get new clients. So to me, yeah, outbound is because you need to reach out to people and put your product in front of them. And the inbound part is the way you build the trust.
Love it. Thank you for that. In our latest Excuse My SaaS episode with Enzo, we mentioned earlier from June, he actually mentioned that there is one piece of product data that is not optional, no matter the stage, no matter the type of company you're having. And that's actually feedback, which is important for us at ProdCamp, right? Can you tell us how crucial it has been, and you said a few words about it earlier, for Buska and the product Courier, maybe to gather this feedback early, and how much your roadmap is driven by user needs versus your own market expertise and problem expertise, because you had it and it was coming from that?
Well, to answer the second part, 100% should be focused on user needs, because I did a post actually the other day. Paul Graham said it, you need to put yourself in the perspectives of the user, not yourself, because even if as a founder, as I said, we experience the problem ourselves, I'm not the one buying my own product. So I need to put myself in the shoes of the ones buying, and the sales team buying Buska is not the same thing as me as a founder wanting to know something about my brand. So to me, I would say 100% is based on user needs, but it doesn't mean that every feedback from users turns into a feature or request, etc. Because again, if I ask people what they want, they would say faster horses. So it's to understand what they need, but not what they want, which is very different. But yeah, to answer, yeah, it's 100%, and feedback has been crucial from day one. And now, again, when I teach and the frameworks that I built are based on that, is that once you have the idea of a problem to solve, go talk to people first before you build anything, before you even think of selling anything, whatever. Because even through the feedback, you will know how to position yourself. You will know the value proposition. You will know the problem that people have that you can solve. So yeah, it's been a key driver for us from day one. And again, to me, feedback, you need to build feedback loops or feedback engines. And having tools like ProdCamp obviously helps a lot, which is get feedback from everywhere possible, being from the sales team. Well, when you're a founder, normally you're the sales guy, so you should have direct contact with the users, but also from support, people that come from to your website. As I said, people that talk about it online, people that talk about what you do online, which is what we do with Buska, but applying to ourselves, which is go online and see, for example, on the product feedback app market, see what people say about it online. So go look at reviews of other companies that do the same thing as you, etc., to see what people are expressing, what they need, and adapt on that. As Bezos said, and I was talking about our vision when we started, which is monitor, understand, and engage. That doesn't change, but we're stubborn on the vision, flexible on the details, meaning that what we put and what we prioritize in each part should vary and should be adapted to the purest problem that we identify for our users and our potential new customers over time.
Love it. We're talking with a lot of CEOs also regularly. And there is this difficulty sometimes to exit this thought that we are, the CEO is the absolute market expert of the problems, but clients are not us. I am also an expert of the problem solving, but my clients are not building products. I am. My clients are buying products. So it's kind of very different. Your users are not the one who wants to build. They are the one who should want to buy.
Exactly.
Great. So, and just a follow-up question about feedback real quick. You mentioned it can be a powerful tool. It's essential to refine your approach, your product, and the problem and the solution you offer. But it also, and you said it can steer your product in multiple directions, right? You cannot just follow blindly every piece of feedback. So how do you make sure you are kind of measuring needs and interests to actually prioritize the right insights that could actually drive growth?
Yeah. Well, when you're early, obviously it's much easier than when you're a growing company like Lemlist or other companies, because you don't have that much feedback as well, and you don't have that many features. But the idea is to, like, you list all the requests that you have, you try to categorize them, and that's why, again, user feedback products like WordCamp are good, because you can organize the feedbacks. And basically, if you see at some point that you have 10 requests on the same topic instead of one on the other one, then you look at those, see in terms of costs, in terms of time, in terms of development, in terms of feasibility, which are the possibilities and what is the fastest. And one thing that, again, product people often overlook is, okay, we have 3 features that will take basically the same time to do and that have the same priority in terms of user needs. What should we prioritize? Well, that's the one that's going to make the money. I mean, that should be your first driver, because, again, build products people love is great, but this is a business. This is not charity. Basically, it's important that people love the products that we build, but it's even more important that they buy the products that we build.
That they are ready to pay for it.
Exactly. So that's, to me, the if you have different features and once you prioritize and understand what are the most important ones, and again, what are the purest problems that you can solve with those features, is okay, which is the one that's going to make me the most money, the fastest, meaning that what's the feature that people are the most willing to buy quickly? And again, if you don't have money, what is the most obvious feature that's going to solve the problem and that is a no-brainer for them to pay for?
Love it, Tony. Thank you so much. We are approaching to the end of this episode. The time is flying when you're having fun. With your background in AI and product growth, where do you see the B2B SaaS space heading over the next few years? Do you have any type of vision there? And moreover, what's making you excited? And maybe also, what's make you worrying?
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, the first thing I see, and the biggest trend I see, and it's actually in place already and in the coming months, is that distribution becomes more important than building a product itself, and execution becomes more important, because in B2B SaaS, again, unless you're revolutionizing an industry, but it doesn't happen once in a every year, maybe you have a revolutionizing new product. Otherwise, you're building stuff that already exists and that technically, now with AI, easier to do, and actually much easier to do than ever before. So you can build something really quick. You can build an MVP in just a matter of days. So distribution and execution become much more important. So to me, the B2B SaaS and even the product side of B2B SaaS will evolve into a growth part, and the marketing side and the growth part of the product management work will also evolve into that direction, or it must evolve in that direction, because building products is good, but again, selling them is more important when you're doing a business. So to me, yeah, it's distribution becomes key, because building products becomes easier and easier, and which is a good thing, and it excites me, because we need to find very specific use cases to address. You cannot just build a CRM. You need to build a CRM for a specific niche. And so we're going to address very tailored problems and very specific people. And I'm sure you can thrive as a B2B SaaS founder in a specific niche. So that's what excites me. What worries me more about SaaS and AI in general is more like misinformation, the use of deep fakes. Because obviously, for example, in sales, there's a lot of AI avatars, video,
Right.
audio, etc. And what will be a problem very soon, and is actually becoming a problem, is fraud a lot, because there's a lot of growing fraud, and it's becoming very easy to do that as well, to impersonate people. But again, that's a big concern I have, even in politics, etc. But on the other side, it's a good opportunity for people that can buy the counterpart and the tactics to solve that worry. So it's you need balance. But yeah, what worries me the most is because, again, we need to keep in mind that 200 million people use ChatGPT daily or weekly, but there's 5 billion people using having the internet. So it's not 96% of the world doesn't have ChatGPT.
Still doesn't use it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff to do, but there's also, for those people that don't know how to use it, there's also risks that they can be manipulated much more easily. So yeah, you need balance, but that means also for B2B SaaS creators that there are like 4 billion and 900 million people to address with AI solutions if they have good ideas and they find problems to solve. And you don't need a big team, you don't need a big budget, because AI helps you build very fast something that works.
4 billion AI opportunities. That's
Exactly.
Quite a number. Last question, Toni. Thank you so much. For SaaS founders listening, thinking about both the future and present growth is crucial. We talked about it. What's one maybe last key piece of advice you would share for building and scaling products in a sustainable and impactful way?
Yeah. I'd say don't listen to people on LinkedIn. Don't believe the hype, because people that sell you frameworks are there to sell their own stuff, not your situation. Meaning that as a founder, your product is unique and your situation is unique. And to me, it's focus on going where your clients are, because it can be on LinkedIn, but it can be on Facebook, it can be on Twitter. So don't think that you should be on LinkedIn because everyone says you should be on LinkedIn. No, go where the people that want to buy your product are. Focus, if you're starting or if you don't know where you are, focus on the smallest niche possible in terms of people. Like find 50 people that are your target audience, the smallest target audience possible, and find the biggest problem that they have and build one specific feature for that and see if they buy it. If they do, keep going and expand. If they don't, try another niche or try another problem.
Awesome, Toni. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Excuse My SaaS. Huge thanks to you, Toni, for joining us and sharing such valuable insight and stories from building traction with Buska and creating a great growth loop for the Product Courier newsletter. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, catch more inspiring stories and actionable tips. And if you want to continue the conversation, you can connect with Toni or me on LinkedIn. I would love to chat. We'll drop the link in the description. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Excuse My SaaS. Keep discovering and building products for impact. Thank you so much, Toni.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day.